How to build a sales script that crushes sales. Hi, my name is Roy Haas. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. If you have any questions, comments, if you agree, disagree, make sure you leave a comment below. And always, super important, leave a like. With that, today's topic is we're going to be going over all the different elements that are involved in making sure you have a successful working script and framework to get you more sales, get you a higher close rate, and what's involved in making a script that works. A couple things before we get started. Basically, in most calls, you want to establish who you are, why you're calling, why it matters to them, and why they need to make a decision today. With that said, point number 1, don't make cold calls. I don't suggest you do cold calls. If anything, set an appointment first. You can do the appointments cold. I don't recommend that. Cold prospecting is better, but even better is just actually having targeted conversations with people, if that's going to be on LinkedIn, if that's going to be on Facebook, if that's going to be through opt-ins through your website, but having conversations with people and establishing who's a fit, who's not a fit before they get on the phone with you and have a sales conversation. You should actually establish if they are a fit or not, and you should set a time for that conversation to occur. So in other words, appointment setting. But cold calling, not such a good idea. So point number 1, set an appointment. Don't make cold calls. Number 2, build a framework with key points. Now, this is different than a script. So what you really want to remember is a script means that you're reading things verbatim. That means it's word for word. Now, that's fine in a lot of instances if it's a very short script or if it's a B2C product, you're just selling to regular everyday people. But for B2B, it gets a bit dynamic. There's a lot of holes that you might need to fill in. Things can go off script very easily. So for that reason, you are better off, you'd be better served using a framework with key points or key questions that you want to make sure that you're covering. And if you're doing that correctly, then you can make sure that you're actually walking them through and moving the conversation forward. You need to get from A, never having spoken to this person before, to Z or Z, depending on where you are in the world, and you need to get that to a result that's favorable or will move you to the next stage. Or ideally, if you're doing a one-call close system, then I'll close. Number 3, build rapport, establish expertise, and maintain control. Really important throughout the call, all 3. Rapport is not, as some people indicate, a certain section where you ask about the weather, how their family's doing, how is it out there in your state, your country, your area. That's not what rapport is. Rapport is basically building a relationship with the client, maybe being human, smiling a little bit, asking how their day is going, right? You don't need to make that cheesy. It needs to be natural. It needs to sound normal. You don't need to sound fake. So if there's a topic that's ongoing, for example, with all the virus stuff that was happening, how you doing these days? How's it going? Yeah, it's a little crazy out there. How are you handling things? Oh, well, it's this, that, and then bring it back. Don't go too far off track, but that's a bit of rapport building, right? You can do that on and off throughout the call, but the entire conversation, your entire meeting, your entire interaction, your entire call is integrated and embedded with rapport building. Expertise is really important. If you're not perceived as an expert, then they're not going to listen to you. They don't want to talk to you. All of this needs to come across, and you need to maintain control. If you're not in control, then they're going to take control, and especially in B2B and enterprise calls, or they're just going to be put off by the fact that you're not taking control and you don't know what you're doing. Therefore, you're not an expert. So it all ties in to the same point. Number 4, the first 30 seconds of your call need to be scripted and they need to be dialed. You need to know exactly what you're going to be saying in the first 30 seconds. The first 5 seconds, they're already making a determination on if they like you or if they don't like you. Within the first 30 seconds, if you've made any mistakes in the first 5, then you can try to fix them. And within those first 30 seconds, they usually know if they're interested in going further with you or even closing or moving forward with your product or service. That's something that's determined within the first 30 seconds. So if you're not spot on, if you're not really precise and you don't have that tuned down to a science, then you're basically asking for problems and a low close rate. So make sure you know exactly what you're going to say, what works, figure that out based on calls that you have. If you have other people on your team and you're in a team, figure out who's got the best openings, use that, tune it, and adjust, and always make sure it's as optimal as it can be, because those first 30 seconds are super, super important. Number 5, use the client's information and know the client's information. If you're calling me, for example, or if you're calling anyone else and you just say, "Hello there, sir. Today I wanted to ask," whatever they say after that. If you don't know my name as a starting point, if you don't know who I am as the most basic thing, if you don't know my name, then you don't know me, and I don't want to be talking to you. The only people that don't know my name are people that I'm not working with, that don't know me, don't know who I am. The only time where it would be potentially acceptable, where they don't even know my name, is if they found my phone, or if they found some kind of an advertisement or something where my name isn't listed, and they want to give me back my phone, or something that I've lost, or something else that has my number. But that's not what this is. We're talking about sales interactions, or selling something, or having an offer. Who am I? Why is this that you're calling me, right? But you need to know for a start who the prospect is, what they do, a bit about their company, especially if it's enterprise sales, and you need to know as much as you can about the company and the business. And you need to know maybe their position, things like that. Know a bit about the person that you're calling. The bare minimum should be their name. If it's B2C, maybe their location. You can figure that out by looking up their area code. You type in the area code, 718, for example. You would type that into Google, 718 area code, and you'd see where that is. So that's an example. Number 6, state what your offer will do for them clearly. If they can't envision, and if they can't paint a picture, if you will, of what it is that you're offering and how that's going to fit into what they need and what it's going to do for them, then you're not going to go very far. So you need to make sure that they understand exactly what your offer is, and at the same time what it's going to do for them. So make sure you have a clear and concise way of stating that particular point, because if you're not able to do that, then they're not going to be able to visualize and see themselves using your service or your product, and the interaction or the transaction is not going to go to the place that you want it to. Number 7, let your clients speak. Don't talk over them. Don't make it all about you and you talking. You need to understand and you need to hear what they have to say. So make sure that you're listening and make sure that you're giving them the opportunity to speak. Do that by asking questions and listening to their answers. But at the same time, don't let them go off on a tangent. Make sure you keep the conversation moving forward and don't get stuck going off on some kind of tangent. It has to keep going forward. So make sure that you're in control, but make sure you're listening and your clients are talking. Number 8, make sure that in your script you're stating what the urgency is. Why is this something that they need to be doing now? What's the reason? There needs to be something in your framework that either asks questions that create a pain that illustrates the need for them to act now, or you need to create a need and you need to create some kind of urgency and make sure that they understand what the urgency is. Why shouldn't they just think about it or get back to you in a week or a month later? If you don't provide a reason for that, well, then you've just created a very high likelihood that if it's not a very good offer right off the bat, then they have that out. So you want to try to take that out away so that you're able to get it closed. Without urgency, you're unlikely to move forward to the next step, especially if that next step is closing a deal. And if that next step is to have some kind of an action, then you want to make sure that there is an urgency. So, for example, you need to set a time that's in the near future for your follow-up call, so that the whole interaction doesn't go cold. If you're going to set your follow-up interaction with, let's say, the next person down the chain, or the next person in command, or people in command, you want to do that as soon as possible and not as far away as possible. So always try to keep things hot, keep things moving, and make sure there is urgency even right from the get-go. Number 9, make sure you go for gold. Make sure you have a clear goal in mind for your interaction, and make sure you move to asking for the sale. If you don't ask for the sale, then chances are it's not going to happen. So I'm not saying that just do trial closes over and over again, but you do need to at some point distinctively ask them to take action here and now and move forward, right? There's a number of ways that you can do that, but you need to figure out how you want to word that and what that's going to sound like. It could be, where do we go from here? It could be, what would you like me to do next? There's a number of different ways that you can do that. Okay, so let's do this. How about let's do this. I'm going to take the payment for the first 3 months, and then we can go from there, right? So you can do, I'll take the payment for the next 3 months. What's the name, your company name, how do you spell your first name, how do you spell your last name, and then go right to payment information. There's a number of ways you can do it, but the important part is that you need to ask for the close. You don't ask for the close, it's unlikely that they will, unless it's an amazing offer, which is something that you should aim to have, but make sure that you're asking for the close. Number 10, see through the smokescreen. What will happen very frequently is sometimes your client will provide some kind, or your prospect will provide some kind of resistance. There might be something that they say which will, basically be, I need to think about it. I need to talk to my business partner. You know what? There's a number of companies that I'm talking to right now, so I'm just trying to weigh my options. Or now's not a good time. Can you get back to me next month? There's a whole bunch of things that they're going to say. Now, unless they say that they're bankrupt, they're flat broke, which would indicate that you've made a mistake in your qualifying, or you didn't set a good appointment and you didn't qualify them at that stage. If that would be the only real thing that they can say that wouldn't allow you to move forward, or if whatever it is that they're going to say, you basically need to assume that it's BS and that it's a smokescreen. In a very large a very large majority of cases, that's going to be exactly what's happening. So you need to get past that. You need to figure out if there is a resistance of some kind, if there is something that's holding them back from moving forward. You need to figure out what exactly that really is, and it's probably not going to be the first thing that they say. So figure out what the bottom line is. The way that it could sound is you could say something along the lines of, let's bottom line this. What would it take for us to do business today? Really good line. Use it. My sales teams use it very frequently. Works really well. So you really want to get down to the bottom of it, and you want to have things in your script that can help you out with getting to the real bottom line. Number 11, if you're not closing them, again, then you need to at least get a solid yes or no. I am interested, I'm not interested. I am going to move forward, I'm not going to move forward. You need a yes or no. Get something conclusive. That's one part of it. And the second part of it is make sure that you have scheduled or figured out exactly what your next step is going to look like, and when and how it's going to happen. Always have an exit plan, an exit strategy. If there is a next step, or you practice a 2-call sales strategy or 2-step sales strategy, make sure you know exactly what that next step is, that your prospect knows what that next step is, and that you're ready to go with that, and that is established. Otherwise, go for the close and get a yes, or shut it down and get a solid no. But don't get a maybe. That is by far the most frustrating thing. So always aim for a conclusive yes or no. Are we moving forward? Are we not moving forward? Get something specific. If you found this helpful, make sure that you leave a like. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already done so. If you haven't already left a like, that's really important. I would really appreciate it. It helps my channel out greatly. It tells other people that this is good content and that they should be watching it. If you found this helpful, then make sure you also let me know in the comments. I would like to hear if this was something that you found of use. If there was something you disagree with or you agree with, I want to know about it. Make sure you let me know with a comment or a question. And if you have any ideas for a future video, or if you have anything you'd like me to cover, let me know. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.